The title of this podcast is Get Your Act Together. This is one of the things that Michael Singer, who is the author of The Untethered Soul, Living Untethered, and The Surrender Experiment, says often in his lecture series is get your act together. And what he's talking about is working on yourself in such a way that you don't need things outside of your control, whether it's your mind chirping and yapping, to people, life situations, needing them to be a certain way for you to be okay inside. So you work on yourself so that you can have a peaceful life and you can be turned on by everything that occurs in life. And when I think about getting my act together, I think about the old Keith 1.0 would have said, my act is together. Really? Because it's a mess inside. That's what Keith 2.0 would have said. It's a mess inside. You spend a ton of time complaining. You're judging everyone and everything that doesn't live up to your expectations. You're attached to outcome. You cling to things, whether it's how you want people to see you, things go in a certain way. You break promises to yourself that that I know will help me grow. So, for example, I knew of mindfulness before, and I knew about well-being practices before, but I didn't make time for them the way that I do now. Like it is a non-negotiable for me. So I had an idea that those things would make me grow, but I didn't make time for them. Kind of like, knowing that exercising, eating a certain way is healthy for you, but you justify, oh, it's my birthday, or I'm on vacation, I'm gonna take a break, I've earned it. And, or you say things like, I'm just gonna sleep in, I'll go to work out later, and you don't, all of which is fine. But they're promises that you made to yourself that you rationalize breaking them. And that is an example of being a mess inside. But the truth is, for Keith 1.0, as much as I allowed myself to use, academic achievements, successes in business and in other areas of my life to make it look like I had my act together, it wasn't, because inside I had issues. And an issue, for example, would be waking up Monday morning and dreading Monday, wishing it was Friday. Instead of 2.0, who has a different viewpoint, which is how do I make Monday feel like Friday? How do I get to the point that I don't need a vacation to recharge or feel restored? How do I make everyday life feel like a vacation, especially inside? That is an enlightened path to be on. And so I started thinking about those things and understanding what the cost was of not having my act together. Me not having my act together not only caused me suffering, but it also meant that other people were, they got the collateral, they got the collateral damage from me being a certain way. They had to put up with me not having my act together, or making excuses, not having integrity, of complaining all the time, judging other people in life situations. They had to put up with that. And when you had to put up with that, it takes up significant space and energy, and it makes it it makes it almost impossible to have a really rich, healthy connection with people to where you both grow and you both contribute joy and kindness to each other without all this other stuff going on, without your mind talking and chirping and pulling you further and further away from who you really are, which is a peaceful being who's on a path to experience life at the highest level while serving others in a way that produces the greatest good, right? You can't do that if you don't have your act together. And there's all many reasons of why, again, that I mentioned that I didn't have my act together. And even though that I didn't know I didn't have it together, there was still some consequences to it. And the biggest one for me, in one word, was suffering. So once I had enough of all that suffering, I made a commitment that I'm going to get on a new path, and I'm going to be non-negotiable with it, because I want to have my act together. And that began with the practice, these 5 things that I do every single day. But more than just doing those things, which can be perfunctory, I needed them to be performative. So every time something came up that was not to my liking, that I felt the urge to complain or to judge or to withdraw and close off connection with other people, to live with a closed heart. The moment that I felt the impulse to do those things, I would bring awareness and my practice would become performative. And I would say that's where the work needs to be applied. Not to other people, not to things outside of my control. That's secondary and way down the list. Because if I am going to give them attention, I want to do it from a place that is centered and rooted in peacefulness. And in doing that, I can take intelligent action if action is required. But if it's not, then it's still a complete win because I've worked on myself. And over the years of doing this, the last 7 years, every day of working on this, I consistently have my act together. And I hope you do too.